This is Stephanie from S&Co Beauty Group. So today let's talk brows. So the products I'm going to use is my Elate Brow Bombs, and I have 3 of their shades in my Pro Kit. So for choosing your shade, it's best to go along with what your natural brow color is. If you want to tie it into your hair color a little bit, that's fine too. And so depending if you want a more dramatic, defined brow or a more natural brow. So I'm actually gonna do 2 different brows on myself. So one side will be a more defined brow and the other one's gonna be a little bit more on the natural side. So what I like to do is use one of these angle brushes. This is probably my favorite tool to use. I do suggest scraping it out because it is like a gel kind of creamy base. So sticking your brush in is just going to invite bacteria into your product and it will have a lower shelf life. So using some sort of spatula or even a Q-tip and just pulling the product out, and then I like to actually put it on my hand because I feel the warmth of my skin actually helps warm the product up a little bit and it tends to go on a little bit nicer. Okay, so I'm going to start with this side here. And I've got my mirror here because it's almost impossible to do it in front of this camera. But I will turn it my best for you guys. So on this side, I'm going to do more of a natural. So I'm just going to like fill in some areas that need it. And because this brow balm has a bit of a waxy texture to it, it's going to help hold your brows in place as well, your brow hairs. So you can see the difference it's making already on the inner. I prefer not to do a super dramatic brow. I like to keep it more on that natural side. And you want to make sure that you're doing like a good arch too. So the way you can tell where your brow stuff's supposed to be is if you go from here, so that's kind of where it's supposed to start, right in here. And then if you turn it, that's kind of where your arch should be. And then if you run it along that bottom corner of your eyelid, your eye, that's kind of where it should end off. So an ideal perfect brow if that's what you're going for. Which means I need to run mine a little bit longer than it naturally is coming out. Okay. There we go. And then you can check it if you want. So you can take that and there we go. See? Perfect. And if you felt like you went a little bit far, you can wipe it off. Okay? So that is more of like our natural looking brow. So it just enhances it a little bit. It's great if you're someone that doesn't wear a lot of makeup and you're getting photos taken. It's just gonna make them stand out just that little bit more for the camera to pick it up a little bit better. Or if you find that you don't have a lot of brow hair, just lightly filling it in is gonna give it still more of that natural look without it being too fake and dramatic if you're not into that super dramatic look. You want to keep it a little natural, but you want a little brow. Or if your brows are super blonde, you would just fill them in a little bit of a darker color so that they do stand out a little bit more. Okay, so now let's go into a more defined brow. So we're going to keep the same shade that I used on the other side. It'll just be a different way that we're filling it in this time. So you can watch with me here. So the way I tend to do it is to kind of like do the outline first. So I'll start in the top and then the bottom, and then I'll work on filling it in. And then just perfecting that shape. And again, just taking note on where your lines are. A little bit longer. And always start with a little product first and build on it, because it's much easier to add more than it is to remove, especially when it comes to brow stuff. Okay, so you can start to see that it's starting to take shape, and it's definitely a lot more defined as this other side here. And we're going to start filling it in. And it's up to you how you want the inside to be. I've seen a lot of people like to have like that straight kind of super defined line. I am personally not a huge fan of that. I like to have it a little bit more on the rounded side. You can even do a little bit more of that ombre on that inside here, and kind of like it goes lighter and then darker. So I think that's how I'm going to start my inside brow. So you can see what a difference it makes. I've never done my brows this way, so this is really weird for me to look at. Okay, so if you want a super defined look for that brow, if you want that brow line to be really defined, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some concealer. And again, I like to use my hand as my palette because it softens the makeup. And then I'm going to take a concealer brush. So this is like a synthetic little brush. Mirror back here. Okay. And then what we're going to do is just run this along the brow line where you've applied your brow product. And this is going to define that line you made even more. Okay. And then you're going to repeat on the top. I'm going to try to do this so you can see, but it's a bit of a difficult angle here. So this kind of helps you get really crisp lines for that very crisp and defined brow, if that's what you're trying to achieve. And then you would just blend that into your foundation that you're wearing. Okay, so there we go. We have our super defined and perfect looking brow. And then we have our more natural, kind of everyday, like natural woman that doesn't wear a lot of makeup but wants her brow to stand up just that little bit extra, especially for photos. It's definitely very important for photos. This would be more of like your glam look, or someone that does wear a lot of makeup that wants to have their brows super defined. Maybe that person even wants to get microblading so they don't have to do this every day, because it can be a lot of work. But anyways, so here you go. Here is your 2 types of brows. And again, I used my Elate brow bombs for this one. So they come in 3 different shades in Pretty Bamboo packaging, and it does come in individual, so you don't have to buy all 3. Don't worry there. But you can buy that little palette if you wanted to buy a couple shades so that you can blend your perfect shade for yourself. And that is all for today. I hope you learned something. Let me know what you think. Thank you.